Welcome back, everybody, to the Sober Life Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Jones. I want to thank you for taking time to listen to us. Whether you're watching us live today, here Friday, or you're watching one of the reruns throughout the week, please make sure that you leave your comments because we like to read those. We like to know what you're thinking. And if you want to be a guest, certainly put that in the comments as well. Also, don't forget to like this channel, share it with your friends because that's how we get out there. All right. With that being said, I've got, we go back. How long ago were we doing? We were doing a podcast together years ago at a place called Treatment Partners of America.
Yes,
no longer with us, the treatment partners that died a bad death, but we're still here. And Sober Light, we did Sober Smash at the time with Scott Frankel, and we had other people. But we finally got a chance to get back together. This is Dr. Joe Milisitz. Did I say it right?
Yes, you did.
Milisitz. There we go. I just know him as Dr. Joe.
Right.
And you were a clinical director. I was doing programming, and we worked together. Yeah. And it's so good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. I'm glad we're reconnected finally.
It is great. It is great. And we both moved on and done other things. Yeah. Again, we worked together at Treatment Partners. The truth is we had a great program and we had a lot of fun there. It didn't quite work. It was a few things that just didn't work. But that's like most businesses. You got good ones, you get, things don't work. And you've moved around a few places and I've been moving around. You've settled in now, though, right?
Yes, I have.
Tell us, where are you at? What you doing?
I'm at a Ascend Recovery Center in West Palm Beach mainly, but we've already branched out to New Mexico. We have a detox in New Mexico. We have a residential program in North Carolina.
Wow.
We're partnering with a mental health program in West Palm Beach. I think it's called Wisteria.
Yes.
And we also partnered over in Port Charlotte, Florida. We have a detox over there. On the Peace River, by the way, which is gorgeous.
Wow.
So Ascend is really branching out, partnering up with people, starting out on our own also. So we're building a nice little place based on a common ideal of treating people as an individual and treating people with dignity and respect.
Now, Joe, you just said the magic word that people love to use on the internet now. Right. Individual program. Right. Yeah. We meet them where they're at, and they're using these terms, but people aren't doing it.
Right.
What is the difference between doing it and not doing that?
So the catchphrase "we treat people as individuals" is thrown around all over the place, but it's rarely done.
Right.
Most treatment centers treat people as a whole. They'll have a group with 25 people in a group. That is not a group. That is called a lecture.
Yeah.
I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and the National Association of Social Workers say that a group is 8 to 10 people. How they have a group with 25 people and are billing insurance, I hate to get political, but they're billing insurance for group therapy where you're sitting in a lecture and somebody's at the front of the room and there's 25, 30, 40 people in the group. So that right where kills the individual treatment,
Right.
So but what it really means truly to treat the person as an individual would be to meet with each person, get an extensive history, find out where they came from, find out how they grew up, find out what environmental, social, family, relational issues affected who they are, and start to dissect them. Maybe there's family work that needs to be done. Maybe they were bullied in school, and as a result became either a mental illness or an addiction came out of it. So we've got to find where that individual started losing their identity, losing their sense of self, and we've got to start from there and rebuild it slowly.
We've got to move past, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've got to move past this idea of we created one great program and everybody comes through and they're all going to get it.
Right.
It doesn't work. That's why we have such an abysmal success. If doctors had the success rate that rehabs have, nobody would go to a doctor.
That's true.
I'd take a chance with just hitting myself with a rock.
Yeah.
Instead.
That's true. Yes.
So, and it really is all about, we say, okay, we built this beautiful program based on what? Yeah. One individual? Okay, so now maybe 1 out of 50 people is going to understand what you're doing.
Right. Yes.
So that's, but it's a big ask to do individual stuff. Where does that responsibility fall?
Well, it falls on every employee of that program, starting with the owners, starting with the business development people, also known as marketers, starting with getting the name out socially, case managers, everybody within that treatment center has a role and a part. And hopefully they're all on the same page.
Yeah.
And that's what we try to do at Ascend, is have everybody in the team on the same page. Look, there's a built-in conflict of interest in treating addiction and mental health, and that is financial.
But understanding you have to keep the lights on and the doors open.
Right.
But finding that balance.
Right.
Because many times if you got money and healing in the same room, money wins.
Right. And that's what's happened in this field for the last 20 or 30 years. So what I do as a clinical director, okay, if a client's struggling beyond what I can provide or what my program can provide, we will refer them out to what we call a higher level of care. Just this week, we had a client sleeping in a chair all day, not sleeping at night. He was on Ozempic for diabetes and developed complications where he became dehydrated, wasn't drinking water, had to go to the hospital. So we referred him to a higher level of care, meaning a program that's mainly mental health based,
right,
and a residential program where he could stay there 24 hours. Now, he didn't want to go because he Ascend's model is small, boutique kind of treatment centers where everybody gets attention. And our programs are never more than 20 people. That's it.
Yeah.
We're not doing 100 clients, 120 clients.
Right, right.
Where friends of mine doing groups with 25, 30 people in it.
Yeah, an occasional lecture is not a problem, but when
That's right.
every group is like that, that's a problem.
That's right.
That is a problem.
Yeah, there are educational classes, educational groups where you're being taught.
But you've got to know you've got facilitators who know how to engage that many people.
Right.
Many are not skilled enough to do that many people. True. PowerPoints and different things to keep them interested and keep them engaged. It's so important, and you mentioned something, and I want to get into this, and let's get into it now. We may as well.
Yeah.
The connection between mental health and addiction and mental health,
yes,
has now, after people have been kind of dipping their foot in the pool for a while,
yes,
now we're starting to understand this goes hand in hand.
Absolutely.
In 70, 80, 85% of the cases.
Absolutely. We use the term co-occurring disorders. That could mean a substance use disorder, and it could also mean mental health disorder, bipolar, depression, borderline personality. Many of the psychiatric / psychological diagnoses really meet in the middle somewhere. And in the field now, it's important to treat both mental health and substance abuse, because the reality is most people that suffer with addiction problems, which we don't even use the term addiction anymore, by the way, it's called substance use disorder. Mm-hmm. That's the proper term. So there are no addicts. There are no alcoholics.
Thank goodness.
There are no heroin addicts. No such thing in the professional world. As a licensed clinical social worker, I can't use those terms.
Well, it's one of those things that took the power away from the client. The minute I become addicted to a substance, I am no longer Bob. I am now an addict.
Right.
And it's like, that doesn't make any sense, because if Bob had cancer, you wouldn't call him cancer.
Right.
Yeah. So we've done that, and I'm glad we're doing that.
Yes. Yeah. Every 10 years, the DSM is updated every 5 to 10 years. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual is the psychiatric handbook. It's the Bible. It's what we bill on. It's what we use for labels. And this latest version, which is either 5, 6, I've kind of lost them. But the addiction is the word addiction is nowhere in that book at all.
I think it's got to be number 6 now.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right.
It's I'm so glad.
Well, and we're moving into such a great direction. But in the past, we did recognize that some people were suffering with anxiety and depression and other things, or maybe bipolar.
Right.
But the thought was, let's cure the addiction, and the other stuff will be okay.
Right.
But that's not. It's like fixing. Right. If you got 2 broken feet, you fix them both. You don't fix just one.
Exactly. And that's the approach. So therefore, therapists, counselors, group facilitators, I believe, our whole field of mental health / substance use disorder needs a lot of training, much more training. You get your master's degree, come out of school, that's great. You're qualified to get your license after 2 years. You're qualified to be a clinical director. But I'm sorry, what they teach you in school is the basics.
Yeah. Yeah. You know how to do notes, you know how to do this and
Right.
that.
Yes.
But have you learned how to interact with somebody?
Right.
And have you learned how to take one person and another person and find the individual traits within each one?
Absolutely.
Those are almost like a chef's skill of you got to, you know, when you have enough salt, you know, when this and that, it becomes very interesting. So we got a couple of people watching right now. Let's see. Karen says, so awesome, Dr. Joe, Mr. Scott, again, exciting. There we go. Ian Tracy's with us. It says amazing.
Ian, what's up, buddy?
We are grateful to have Joe Milisitz as owner and clinical director here with us. That's good.
That's great.
That's good. They should be grateful, actually. I mean, Ian, I know you're a good guy, but they should be grateful. You're one of the class acts in this world. You've been doing this how long?
Coming up in 40 years, probably now.
40?
Yeah.
Wow.
40.
I got to ask, there's times we lose a lot.
Yes.
We lose the battle a lot.
Yes,
more than, and that should motivate us.
We do. Yeah.
We should never lose a battle.
Yeah. Right.
You know, I know at times it's like your head hits the pillows and you're just like, I'm tired of losing.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this. When you wake up in the morning, what is it that motivates you to go back and do it again?
That I'm going to help people as much as I can. I do not focus on the failures of the clients. I do not focus on success. So one thing I learned long as a therapist, I'm a facilitator of your mental health, of your substance use disorder. So therefore, I really don't have much of a part in it. It's you. You're doing all the work. Now, can I direct traffic? Can I give you a book to read? Can I give you an audio tape to listen to, which I'm starting to do a lot, which are really helpful. People listening at night to podcasts, audio casts, to guided meditations, it's helping a lot with mental health and substance use disorder people. So I lost that being devastated when a client I really connect with leaves one night and they're putting a needle in their arm. It's sad. I grieve for them, but I'm too focused on the success and who wants to make it.
But you're not numb to it because you know it does hurt. And you know, and it just says, okay, it means there's still work to be done.
That's all. That's all.
And anybody that if there's one person out there dying with a substance abuse disorder or suicidal ideations, if there's one person out there dying, it means we still got work to do.
That's right. That's
you
right.
know,
yeah, absolutely.
And where do you go? I mean, what do you do? You're the guy who's got to figure out, let's try something different or let's go do this. How do you go out there and figure these things out?
Yeah. So first of all, a common thing I share with clients is that, look, I'm like Felix the cat for you older people out there.
He just dated himself terribly. Oh my God. Yeah.
So
I was on right before the honeymooners, people.
Right. So I say, I have a bag of tricks. If this doesn't work, we go to the next one. I'm not going to run out of tricks.
Okay.
We can try this and this and this. And if you're invested and you're willing to work, we'll find something that is successful for you. We just will. So I just don't give up, you know, and I keep learning new things and I keep listening to what's new out there, latest research, latest podcasts. A lot of physicians who are doing research have a lot of information. And I just saw a YouTube video about a month ago. This medical doctor talked about all the medications that can work to help with cravings, which is one of the main things you have to curb if the person is going to start living in recovery. Right. He said they even got a medication out for people who have a compulsive use disorder with marijuana. He said there's a medication out there that will help them with the psychological and to a much less extent the physical withdrawal.
Now, medications in recovery.
Yeah.
You know, certainly, I mean, we have methadone. It's like, God, I wish we didn't.
Right.
Then we ended up with the Suboxone, Subutex, Sublocade, all these other ones.
Yes.
And they're all the design of these things were for titration,
right?
Help you get through a period. But you got people on these things for 5, 6, 7 years.
That's correct.
This is almost like what they did back in the 80s when everybody became diagnosed with ADD and they gave every kid in America Ritalin.
Right, exactly. And so medicine does the shotgun approach. when Xanax came out in the 60s, drug company says, we've got a new drug. It's not addicting, and it'll treat people with alcoholism, and they won't have cravings to drink. Yeah, because they're high on Valium.
Wow.
Then they come out with Ambien. Ambien's not addicting. False. So they're going to come out with medications and say this is the greatest thing sliced bread. Well, all of them might have a use, but it has to be in proper dosage, proper client, so
Yeah.
I kind of watched that. I've seen many people with heavy duty bipolar or borderline personality, and they're medicating them so much that they're basically zombies.
Yeah, we got to watch those blanket statements because those are the father of psychology, Dr. Sigmund Freud. Right. Which I don't know why we follow that guy.
Right.
Do you ever notice there's never a picture of him smiling?
Right.
If we look to him for mental health, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
He actually said the cure for morphine and alcohol addiction was cocaine, and he called it the wonder drug. So if we sat on that and we didn't move past that, where would we be today?
Exactly.
Everybody would be Scarface. I mean, that's just
right. So as the non-medical person, I look at that very closely. I want to see if my clients are over-medicated or under-medicated, because So Dr. David Gross, who I'm not sure if he retired yet out of Delray, what an amazing psychiatrist. He was a diagnostician.
Right.
And he was able to see a client, talk to them, and prescribe meds that were just enough. He was just amazing. He's like an artist. He was amazing. And unfortunately, most psychiatrists are not as interested in getting it right, and just rather here, this for this.
I was just going to say that, Joe. I mean, this can't be the first option.
Right, exactly.
Oh, you didn't sleep last night? Let me just prescribe something.
There you
Instead
go.
of saying, were you eating late at night?
Right.
What were you doing before you went to, we don't look at some of those things.
Exactly.
But that falls on, the medical staff sometimes. I don't want to make.
Right,
I understand it's easy just to give them a medication.
Right, yes.
And it should not be the first answer.
No. Our medical director out of center is Dr. Bishop. Wonderful physician. He's just a medical doctor, but he is amazing about looking at levels. And I'll say this client's having this problem. Well, what are they taking? How much are they taking? Why don't we try that? Certain doctors have the knack of looking things critically and looking at what should be happening. And I love working with him. He's our medical director, and he's amazing.
When you work with a staff like that,
yeah,
the medical staff, the clinical staff, and even the support staff, the BHTs, and they all have to be on the same page about client care.
And that's
when you have them on different pages.
Right.
We've seen it at places where
of course
the doctor's arguing with the clinical and the clinical's arguing with the admin, and you got to be on the same page.
Right. And even the clinical staff in treatment facilities, mental health and substance use disorder, even the staff. Let's say you got a master's level therapist, licensed or not, but been around for 20 years. Sometimes they are so set in their ways. Oh, these addicts. Oh, that addict's never good. Hey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You've been around so long, you think you know everything? Oh, that addict, he's never going to get. Like, I get furious at that. And that's why I say even long-term therapists have been around for a long time. They still need training to be up on the latest models, up on the latest research, not just I know it all and now I can do it. And it's like, I'm not like that. I don't want to be like that.
We don't work in a system, Joe, where there is an absolute.
Right.
I would love it if we found one. If there was a panacea and absolute, it put us out of business. But you know what? I go out of business with a smile.
Absolutely. Because we'd always find something else to do.
But there's never that, which means you have to always remain open and always look for what we know is fact today is not going to be fact tomorrow.
Right. Yeah.
Because we're still learning.
Yeah.
Anybody who's not on board with that, I mean, this is like giving people tenure, saying, well, whatever thinking you're stuck with, just keep going with that.
Right. And that's so it can be, you can see it in all parts of life. In any vocation or trade, people get to a certain level, they think they know everything, and they become complacent, and they actually become less effective.
Right.
Is the fact, So I supervise interns for college. I supervise interns for their license, because every master's level therapist needs 2 years of supervision before they can take their exam. And I also supervise MSW interns from Barry and FAU and all that. Okay. And I love working with them. And Fortunately, the feedback is always that they love Dr. Joe. Why? Because I don't say I know everything. I say I'm learning with you. And by teaching you, I still learn. I remain fresh by teaching you.
So you light up working with the young people in the business too.
Absolutely, yeah. A new intern or an older therapist, long as they're open and we can exchange ideas. I learn a lot from my interns,
Yeah.
And that's the way it has to be, an exchange of ideas.
Absolutely. I mean, I know it wasn't that long ago people were walking in saying, well, the clients aren't engaged. And I'm like, what did you bring? What did you bring them? Did you think they were coming? They just spent 6 years on the street with a needle in their arm.
Yep.
They're not going to come in with this, Holly go lightly attitude and everything's fine.
Yes.
No, they're going to struggle. You have to bring the excitement.
Right. So if a staff member says to me, they're not engaged, I said, why not?
Yeah. What did you bring?
What are you doing? What material are you presenting? And why are they not engaging?
Yeah.
Did you introduce them individually to invite them to share why they don't find this subject matter interesting? Why? See, when they're not engaged, I look at me. I'm like, what am I not doing?
I love that.
I might break out a ball game or a volleyball. I'm changing it up.
You have to. You have to, because they're coming in. I mean, they're blank slate.
Yep.
They're not going to come in. They don't know how to respect. They don't know how to sit still. No. Not all of them, but a great many of them.
Right.
A great many of them are just hurting physically or emotionally.
Right. They don't know boundaries.
And he's certainly focusing for 6 groups throughout the day.
Right.
It's damn near impossible. So we've got to bring the excitement in.
Yes.
And that means you have to have a staff that loves what they do.
That's exactly
Is that what you have?
That's exactly right. And if they're not going to fit in, and they'll weed themselves out. I don't have to fire them. They'll just know I don't feel like I belong here. And I would say to them, why not? Well, I said, well, you know what? Maybe you need to look at yourself. Maybe you look at why you're not fitting to this team, because we're all engaged. We're all excited. We all want to help everyone. And the worst one is the one we're going to help the most, the one that's not engaged, so it's always us. It's never the clients fail us. It's we fail the clients. Yeah. And it doesn't mean we always are going to be successful. No. But it also means that I'm trying my hardest.
But the one I lost today because I could not reach them, I need to look at that. I need to examine it. I need to figure out, okay, what is something I could have tried or could have missed?
That's exactly right.
You don't beat yourself up too badly, but you need to question.
That's exactly right.
We need to learn, because tomorrow when the same kind of person comes to me, I'm going to want to know what to do.
Yep.
And not just to keep having the failure after failure.
Absolutely. After failure. I've had interns in a master's program in Barry FAU do something in the group, whether I was observing or not, but the clients come out and say, wow, that was a great group. I said, what did you do? Well, I simply did this. Oh, I'm learning from you.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got to learn the entirety of the human system.
Absolutely.
The human condition.
Right.
And because everyone is so freaking different.
Yeah. You
get a group of people, I guarantee those people were not using together, drinking together, doing all that. Right. These are all people from different walks of life.
Absolutely.
What are they? Yes. Yale to jail, whatever they say, right?
Yeah.
How do you talk to them? You've got to work at
exactly. And the way you talk to one client wouldn't be the way you talk to another.
Of course not.
And that, so going back to my initial statement that we've got to analyze and take each person as a blank slate. I don't know you. I don't know about you. Where did you grow up? Where did you go to school? Were your parents together? What was your dad like? What was your relationship with your mom? I mean, this is all crucial information that we've got to gather before we even start developing a treatment plan.
Absolutely. And this is all in-house. And I want to remind everybody, I'm going to put it up on the screen. Karen was reminding me, I need to let you know that, do you remember my niece, Deanna?
Yes.
Yeah. 7 years.
I sure do.
7 years. She's doing fantastic.
God bless her.
She moved out. She's living in Texas. She just got her motorcycle. She got her car license. She's doing great.
And that's what put a smile on my face.
That was huge.
I knew her. She was struggling.
She was a pain in the ass. Come on. Let's be honest. She was a pain in the ass. But we reaching her was much different. She was very quiet.
Yes.
She was scared.
She needed
of every
approach.
Noise, everything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you got other guys out there just like, walking around, I'm going to kick your ass. And they're all like that.
Yeah.
How do you figured that out?
Yeah.
But I want to say this, that pay attention. Watch where you send your children. You know, people will research buying a new car more than they're going to research the rehab they're going to send their children to save their lives.
Yes.
They need to reach out to them and look at them. And what should they be looking for?
Well, first of all, it's buyer beware, because there are things called phone rooms that a big treatment center will have a room with 30, 40, 50 people on the phones.
And by the way, these people are like 2 months sober that they're grabbing.
That's exactly right.
They stress them out, and they ply them with money, and a lot of them relapse.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
They'll put a whiteboard next to referrals gets $50, because their job, mom or dad, brother, sister, whoever, gets on the phone, and they are really just a victim of a scam, you know. And then, we got this and we got this, and let me get your insurance information, you know. And once they check that, they're going in and checking that while they're on the phone, and they're ready. I can get a flight. I'll get a flight for your son or daughter tomorrow. Just show up at the airport, and boom, we'll have them here, knowing nothing about where they're going. Have you talked to anybody there? Have you talked to any staff there?
Yeah.
Have you seen a virtual tour of it? What?
Well, I've seen parents. So it's like they're not sure which place they got sent to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And these people that are doing these kind of phone room things, there are some that are legitimately trying to do a good job. There are some out there. There are some.
That's true.
They're smaller and they're much more focused,
Absolutely,
and they really require more time.
And they're more like helplines.
They're more of a helpline. Exactly. Yeah. Their rule is that you've got 90 seconds to get the insurance or hang up. That's what a lot of these phone lines do.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there are some good ones out there. But they'll lie. They'll say anything.
Absolutely.
You know, next thing you know, they're in, and the thing is, they say, well, listen. So what? I lied to them. At least they're at a place and they're going to get their lives. You know what? But you set them up for a guaranteed AMA. You set them up for a guaranteed chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
You told them it's on the ocean, and it turns out it's in the middle of a desert somewhere.
Right. Because a shot online was taken from a helicopter.
Oh, yeah,
5 miles away. Oh, the ocean looks like it's right there. No, you're actually 6 miles in from the ocean.
Yeah.
You know?
You got to lean out the 8th floor, look out the window, and down, and you can see water.
Right. And by the way, the relapse rate for employees in phone rooms with little time sobriety is ridiculous.
It is probably in the 80% range, maybe
because
90.
You're lying on the phone all day, and how do you go to a meeting at night? How do you feel good? You're newly sober. You don't know whether you're coming or going. Now you're lying all day, and you may have made $150 that day, but you can't feel good about
It's important to build a life with some resonance of integrity.
Absolutely.
And certainly to build on yourself and not to fall into a place where somebody's telling you have to not be you. You've got to be this, and you got to lie, and you got.
Yeah.
So listen, all that being said, if you want to if you're looking for a place for yourself or somebody else, I want you to check out ascendrecoverycenter.com. Again, I'll say it again because I choked up. Ascendrecoverycenter.com. It's right there on the screen. If you go there, you can learn all about it. You can also give them a direct call at 833-623-2040. 833-623-2040. Give them a call, ask questions. And if you call and you can't get past the person who answers the phone, hang up and call somebody else. If you want to talk to somebody in clinical, talk to a medical or something, maybe you got to get a call back or something, but you should be allowed to have access. Do you talk to parents sometimes?
Anytime they want to. And the reality is, if you're talking to an 800 number of a treatment center, you should feel comfortable throughout the conversation.
Yeah.
You should never feel pressured, or you should never feel like somebody's selling you something. We all know what that feels like. So the first thing look for is, am I comfortable with this person on the phone?
Trust your gut, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because how many business deals or how many things do you walk away from? Because I just didn't like that person.
Right.
If you like them, that's the first move.
That's
and then
exactly right. Yeah.
if you are looking at mental health issues, if you know there's mental health issues, make sure that they're staffed to deal with those mental health issues. Everybody says, we can handle dual diagnosis.
Sure. Right.
Yeah. They can probably handle anxiety, depression.
Right. Yeah.
But they can't handle higher level problems.
No, and that's the problem. And they all say they can. And then the client with the mental health issue is sitting in a recovery group feeling like he or she doesn't belong.
Right.
And what about what I need? What about my hallucinations? What about my sleeplessness? What about my PTSD? What about my trauma?
And now the idea is you don't cut them loose when there's an issue.
No.
You find a place that would work for them.
Absolutely.
And you're just as happy as long as you're doing good.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, okay, we're not going to make money on this kid. Doesn't matter. We're going to save a life today.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
And that's what Ascend believes. Everybody from Ian and Samantha all the way down the line believes the client is first. What can we do to help them? And that's why I wouldn't work in a place, because you hear night managers, and it's a little bit of industry stuff. You hear night managers, you walk in the morning meeting and the vice president or whoever is running the meeting says, oh, by the way, Jim Smith, he goes today. Meaning his insurance ran out. And that message was to that therapist, whoever is on his caseload, that therapist has to discharge that client that day because the insurance ran out.
Whether they got a place to go or not.
Right. I've never worked in a place. I never would. I've interviewed at some and said, nope, it's not for me. So this is all stuff you can find out by calling, making inquiries, asking, hey, is it possible for tomorrow morning? Can the clinical director give me a call? Absolutely. Dr. Joe will call you in the morning. That's what you want to hear.
Ask questions. There's no dumb questions.
Right. Exactly.
The only dumb ones are the ones you don't ask.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly. And we need to know what's going on. Now, so ascend, I love the word ascend because, what we do is we ascend to a higher level of existence.
That's exactly right.
What we do is we heal the human so that the human transcends the addiction.
Yes.
And the substance abuse disorder.
Right.
It still exists.
Yes.
But we're living at a higher level above
Absolutely.
it. And that's what recovery is supposed to be. Recovery isn't supposed to be, I don't drink and I don't use. It's supposed to be so much more than that.
Miserable.
What is recovery supposed to be to you, Joe?
Yeah. Recovery is, so I have a belief that people who come in my treatment center with mental health or substance use disorder issues, that's not really who they are. That's who they become as a result of trauma. And a trauma is a whole other thing, maybe a whole other podcast. But as a result of their life difficulties, they are not the person they were truly meant to be. They are sidetracked. And I'll tell clients in the face, you are not really who you were supposed to be. You got sidetracked, you got derailed because of trauma, because of life difficulties, because of some reason your life went off track. And you're having a hard time getting back. I'll look at a young lady, young man, I'll say, you look like a teacher to me. You talk about you like kids, you talk about you like learning. You should, and I'll tell people what I see in them.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah.
Well, they probably stopped seeing things in themselves a long time ago.
That's exactly right, Scott. They've lost faith in themselves. They lost faith that they can actually do anything anymore. And with family, friends, employers who fire them, I mean, they get it from the world. You're worthless. You can't work anymore. We don't want to see you. Families have cut people off that are struggling with mental health and substance use. And they come in a lot of times just broken.
Yeah.
And I love to see them come in because as I help them to heal themselves and give them some self-esteem that they can hold on for themselves, and that's what makes me keep going in this field, actually. That's little victories.
And for 40 years you've been doing it. And I know you've helped a lot of people, Joe.
I hope so.
I know you have.
I hope so.
And it's always been great to work with you and to have you around and just your spirit speaks highly. I mean, it's never been, when we were at TPA, it was never like we were all going to work and toiling. Right. It was like, we get to do something. We get to be a part of a miracle today for somebody.
Absolutely.
It's like a blessing, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
So 40 years, I want you to go back 40 years or, around 40, when you first started doing this.
Yeah.
What was the climate like in the world, out in the communities, as opposed to now? Are we heading in the right direction or we're not?
Yes and no. The professionals out there like me, and there are hundreds of thousands of them, we're heading in the right direction. When I came into this field, AA didn't believe in medication. Right. So if you tried to get a sponsor in Alcoholics Anonymous and you told them I was on medication for depression, they'd say, no, you don't need it. All you need is the 12 steps. So AA has finally come off of that over the years. And
by the way, their success rate lower than treatment centers too.
Yes, yeah.
Because of that stubbornness.
Yeah.
But
They say like 1 in 36 people who go to AA ever sober. So,
Wow.
but it's difficult. But hopefully we're growing. But that being said, the world is still ignorant. The world is still prejudicial. The world is still racist. The world is still sexist. We know what we live in.
Right.
It's sad that's the state of this world, where I don't know about other countries, but in our country, we're so forward, but yet we're so backward in everything. And it's so I'm fighting that all the time. It's tough.
And I know we've had improvements with stigma.
Yes.
We've had improvements.
Yes.
You can't get a good Hollywood role without going to 3 rehabs first. I mean, it's just,
yes.
It's standardized.
Right.
But we still kind of, it's like, okay, they had an alcohol problem, or they've got a depression problem, or but we still kind of say it with a whispered tone, and we still do it with not having any idea what to do.
That's right.
How many people have family members out there, or friends or loved ones that are suffering either from a mental health disorder or from a substance abuse disorder?
Yes.
And everybody's just like, well, if I say something, he's going to get mad. And then it's,
it's sad.
We need more education out there.
Absolutely. So Michael Phelps was one of the first years to come out about his depression. Simone Biles 4 years ago had her yips.
And Michael Phelps went to drugs to self-medicate,
and
because
there
of that.
It was, right, before he realized he really needed help. And he got therapy, he got the help he needed, and he's doing great now. He's really a spokesperson.
And you're right, the Simone Biles thing was a national stage,
or
global stage.
Right.
When she walked away and said, I can't do this, and explained why.
And how many people are still critical of her? What do you mean? That's your job. You're supposed to, even coaches, I hate to say it, even some of the coaches, she even said it. They were like, what? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? How about some compassion? I'm going through anxiety and depression.
We see this all the time with kids going out and either committing crimes or even, God bless, murders or something.
Yeah.
And there's always a handful of people that say, Johnny's been a mess for a long time. Right. Well, why didn't you do something?
Exactly. Yeah.
Why aren't we doing something?
Yes.
This may be crazy. Tell me if I'm crazy. I would like to see education start in high school.
Of course.
For understanding the difference between sadness and depression.
Of course.
And
Absolutely.
so that when they go home and they see their mom or their dad, they're struggling, they may have a little information, or when they see themselves or a friend, having basic knowledge about mental health should be crucial and critical. It should
be a curriculum.
It should be in the curriculum.
Starting in junior high and high school, and so many parents in denial. So many parents don't want to admit that their child is sick mentally. And it's just really sad. But we got a lot of work to do. But I'm in the trenches every day. So are you, with training. So I'm in the trenches. I'm digging, and that's all I can say is I'm doing the best I can. And if I can affect one person's life and motivate them to live a sober life, well, I'm good.
You're doing great work, man.
Yeah.
You're doing great work. And it's great to see you over there with Ian and the whole gang over there. And
Ian, Samantha,
some really good people.
Yeah.
And I'm going to invite everybody, please, go to ascendrecoverycenter.com or call the number 833-623-2040 and find out more about Ascend, even if you just want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Because that's what we need to do. We need to have more open, honest, and frank discussions.
Yes.
That aren't horrible to say out loud.
Right. That's right.
If you break your leg, you don't hide your cast from the world.
That's right.
If you break something in your head, we got to hide it.
Right. Exactly.
And that's not good.
Exactly. Yeah. And of course, veterans, I'm a veteran, and, finally we've been putting some money towards veterans in the last 8 years or so, which is great. And we're finally getting them help's readily available. We're doing PTS counseling. I'm proficient in EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. EMDR is an incredible therapy to apply to PTSD. So I've taken the word trauma and changed it to life difficulties, because trauma's got that word, you must have been in war, or you must have got raped, or beaten up. No, it's life difficulties.
Right.
I was never physically or sexually abused. However, my father was verbally and emotionally abusive. You're a loser. You'll never be nothing. Day to day. I had just as much trauma as a person who was in war and got wounded. It's the same. So the word trauma is a buzzword that I don't like using anymore. I call it life. If you have life difficulties, that may be part of why you can't get sober. That may be part of why you can't get rid of your depression and deal with it. So let's talk about life difficulties, and it makes it much more palatable.
I was just going to say that, if we go with NLP, you're taking a word that seems like it's more powerful than you and putting it into a context where you feel like you have power over it.
Right.
Trauma, I don't know, but difficulties, I can handle difficulties.
We all have them.
Right. And it allows you. You're right. It's more palatable. It makes it easier to approach those issues. I want to end with this, or get to this, and we could certainly wrap up with anything you want to. Sure. But how important is it that the families are involved in treatment, whether it's mental health or addiction?
Right. Because
treating somebody, then sending them home to a family that has no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Best of intentions.
Right. That's right.
But no freaking idea.
That's right.
That's not good for anybody.
Yeah. And, because of shame, because of societal pressures, parents have a hard time embracing their children's difficulties. They want to, their heart feels it, but am I willing to be public with this?
Yeah, because you got mom saying, "What did I do wrong?" and dad saying, "I don't want to lose her son."
There we go.
And so let's pretend it doesn't exist.
That's exactly right. So it's so difficult, and it still goes on so much. And it's the society we live in. The expectations of everybody to be healthy, everybody to be rich, everybody to have. You see it on social media, and it's a shame. Let's just get down to admitting I have a problem, and let me get some help, because the help is finally getting out there more and more. But you have to start by admitting, my son's got a problem, my daughter, our family's got a problem. Let's get help.
And information is so readily available now.
It is.
It's not like the old days where you had to, I can't learn anything unless I'm on the phone or go to a doctor.
Right.
Online, there's all sorts. Do research, learn about it. And then more importantly, talk about it openly, at least in your home.
Yep.
At least in your home, your son or daughter, husband or wife should be able to say, I'm having a bad day.
Right.
Absolutely. And not have it turn into a freak out session.
Right.
Because you're all talking about it.
Right. I'm scared of you being sick.
Yeah.
I'm scared of our son being sick. What will that mean to us? And by the way, if you want to contact this end and say, I want to speak with Dr. Joe, they'll transfer your number and I'll give you a call if you got some questions. That's my life. This is what I do. So
absolutely. Well, Joe's always been the guy who would go above and beyond just to make sure that people get the information that they need. And knowing Joe and knowing some of the staff over at Ascend, and hopefully I'll get to know the rest of them. You'll have to come over, spend some time, but good people doing good work.
Yes.
And we just need more of that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The crisis of South Florida treatment is past. Right. There are still some treatment centers that aren't good. I'm sorry. Right. There's also car dealerships that aren't good.
That's true.
It's just the way it is. I mean, not everybody can be good at everything.
Exactly.
But this is a good place to come to check it out. They also have other locations, so that's kind of a bonus.
Yes, it is.
And these are good people doing good work. Again, Joe, if somebody's out there listening right now and they just don't know about themselves, about, if it's parents and stuff, make a call. But if it's you sitting there saying, I don't know if I should do something or not, what do you suggest?
Well, start off by contacting somebody who might have the information. And again, go with your gut. Whoever you call, wherever you call, you got national hotlines now for depression and mental health. Whoever you call, it's important to feel comfortable when you're talking to somebody on the phone. That's the main. And if you don't feel comfortable, hang up and call somebody else. Like I said, you can call us and say, I need Dr. Joe to call me. And if it's on a weekend, it may be Monday, but I will call you and talk to you straight up, talk to you honestly, and give you the best direction I can give you and your family.
Absolutely. Ask questions, talk about it, practice talking about it.
Yeah.
We need to be better at this.
Right. Yeah.
Trust me, if you still want to have drama in your life, we'll find something else. But let's end this one. Let's bring this one out into the light of day so that people can get the help they need. And let's all participate. Let's not punish somebody for something that they don't have control over. I mean, they will gain control. They will if
Eventually.
they get help. If
Yeah.
they get help.
More
So-
than they ever had.
Oh,
eventually.
definitely
Yes,
more.
Yes.
Definitely more. All right. So with that, guys, I want to thank you for tuning in to Sober Life Podcast. Joe, absolute pleasure, my friend.
Great connecting with you again, Scott.
Oh.
We've always gotten along great.
We've always
We're
gotten
like,
along.
We're like minds.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
And this is what we're moving towards, and just become a part of the recovery scene. Help people out. There's a lot of great programs out there. Do some volunteer work. If you don't have a problem, but you want to get involved, there's volunteer work to be done. If you want information about trainings and learning more things, you can get a hold of us at One Brother, One Sister. Just go to onebrother1sister.com. We have trainings for first responders. We have trainings for our community heroes, which are you people out there that just care about things and want to make a difference. One day I'm hoping we're going to get to a point where, Joe, you and I are just going to have not much to do.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I think we're still quite a ways from that. And we're just going to have to keep working on it.
Yeah.
If you had to say one thing that you would love to see change in the next 5 or 10 years in our communities and in the world and how we do things, what would you like to see change?
I would like to see people be willing to talk about what's bothering them, talk about their families, talk about their children, talk about their marriages, talk about their depression, talk about their anxiety. I would love people to just start talking more, because when you talk, you put information out there. When you talk, you give other people permission to feel the same thing you're feeling. So let's just talk more about it.
And by talking, you release the dark spaces out into the light of day, and they no longer are haunting you in those dark spaces. Let it out. Talk to people. Judgment, people who are going to sit in judgment of you, they got their own work to do. Just take care of you. Make that phone call if you need help. Sober Life Podcast brought to you by Sober Life Studios, One Brother, One Sister. And of course, our friends, today's podcast, we're dedicating over to our friends over at Ascend Recovery Center. And of course, Dr. Joe, their clinical director, and all the great people there. So check them out. Make sure you leave your comments. Make sure you share this and subscribe to our channel so you know when we have other podcasts. For now, thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.